The shaggy-haired girl kneels on the sea ice. She looks up as you...
So you talked to my associates, right? Are you going to help us? With the chat? Great. Let us know if there's any progress, will ya? We've been waiting for weeks here. I did, and I'm sorry. For what it's worth, which isn't much.
This is why I didn't go into the tent. Typical delinquency.
You don't get to choose your posse, they choose you. Mine are idiots, but they're mine. I tried to talk Andre out of it. I even tried not to lie to you.
Indeed, she merely tried to omit the truth instead.
I know. I should have been able to control them, and I will in the future. I promise. May I ask, what did you tell them? Thank you. I'll get them under wraps, I promise. Oh, that. You're not going to believe me. There's no point in me telling you.
She's less prone to blurt it out, crab man, than the others.
Okay. I went in and I saw a woman next to one of those machines there. Noid calls it a mainframe. She was dressed like someone who's been raised by their grandmother, you know, strange old clothes. Had this absent expression, didn't say anything, just stood still. And then, you know, right behind her, a man crawled down the wall, upside down like a crab, down the church wall. I think the woman didn't even know he was there. He was completely silent. He stopped right before he got to the floor, then just hung there like that, looking at me, right at me. I fucking turned around and walked out. End of story.
Like a crab, you say?
It was too dark. I couldn't tell exactly.
Come on, she obviously could. She already went into detail.
I don't blame you. I mean, I wouldn't believe me either. I'm surprised Noid did. Andre I expected, but Noid... My associates? I haven't got much to say about them. Of course I do. I just don't tell people about my friends and who they are and so on. I don't provide information on them.
To the cops.
Me? I'm a silver bird. Don't know what makes you think it'll be any different later, but...
Heavy wooden doors, more than twice your height, stand shut in front of you. The rectangular sea-worn ornamentation appears in stark contrast to the padlock, carelessly drilled into the wood. The lock turns easily. You hear a click as the shackle pops open.
Let's go.
As you do, you hear the echo of the doomed commercial area, its black holes and dusty machines. Then a great whoosh of air rushes into the dark innards of the church, as though rushing to fill a great vacuum in the heart of the city. silence in this part of the church, it's almost palpable. All the shifting matter and shuffling of living things is gone. Nothing seems to exist beyond the church anymore. Maybe if you were to stand in just the right spot, even your footsteps would be completely silent. And then it's gone, almost all of it, but for the faintest of hums. It seems the sound here is detached from its source somehow, if not blotted out outright. Truly unusual. You can hardly hear your own breathing. You produce a few muffled thumps, after which the silence feels even more total somehow. Your voice is barely audible, not a howl, but the softest of whimpers. The lieutenant points to his ears and shakes his head. Then he leans closer.
Can you hear anything? The church just has strange acoustics, some engineering trick.
His detached tone conceals how uncomfortable he is. The lieutenant doesn't reply, but you can sense him tense up next to you. The orderly rows of ceiling panels become barely visible, then disappear completely in the darkness of the tower overhead. Just darkness without end. It makes your head spin. There's nothing. You're dizzy and disoriented as you see dark and more dark rising.
Officer, what are you looking at?
You see something hanging from the rafters, looking straight at you with dark eyes. Maybe it's possible to talk to it. Is that a man? Looks more like part of the carpentry of the building came alive and is now studying you intently. The Crab Man. The man leaned forward a little, fixing you with a steady, unreadable gaze, then speaks.
Habitual alcohol use has made you into a scared little pussy, Holmes. But don't worry, everything's gonna be all right. You come to the right place.
That accent is Villalobos, a peninsula in Mesque and a district in Jamrock. There's a sizable contingent of Villalobos-speaking Mesques in Revachol.
Here you can receive the mother's love. And when you're ready, she will take your hand and lift you out of the despair at the bottom of that bottle.
This man is obviously a habitual narcotics user. Do we really need to question him?
I'm put off by this religious stuff. he thinks, and maybe the ceiling climbing too. It's all very hard to square with the lieutenant's own view of reality. Hey, and what was that about the bottle again? You haven't even drank that much lately. Lay off it already. Shish.
Está crudo, way. I see deep inside you. Your body and your spirit are suffering greatly from overindulgence, and you don't even know it. I was like you once, just dragging my feet to the next bottle. Shit was dark, Holmes.
You know, actually, since we're here, you may want to pay attention to what the ceiling climber is saying.
Don't trust me. Trust the mother. I'm only the messenger, Holmes. This is the Church of the Mother of Silence. You are welcome here.
You have no idea what the fuck he's talking about. Is he just trying to throw you off your game? Whatever it is, he's quite confident about it. Just look how gracefully he sways.
The ones in the tent outside, right? I see them. Think they scared of me. Why not? They wouldn't bother me none. I'm usually way up there, imbibing. Ain't no music on earth that can reach where I go. Might even be nice to have some company.
He said that in spite of himself. He's more attached to the human than he'd like to think.
Other spooker? Oh, esa viejita es muy estudiosa. Don't know, Holmes.
Viejita is grandma?
No, I just call her viejita because of her clothes. She's actually quite young. Or maybe not that young. Age is just one of the many masks we wear. That's what I said, Holmes. Don't really follow her comings and goings. Just see her typing on her computer now and then. We got different interests. I'm afraid not, Essay. You just have to wait until she comes back, or
search through her radio computer. A machine stands in the corner, watched over by the figures on the stained glass window. It's turned on and quivering with soft electricity.
Another radio computer. And this time it's already turned on.
These machines sometimes harbor traps, he thinks. Alarm systems and the like. Let's be careful.
We should leave. I doubt this place bears any connection to the case.
You see fluorescent play and print buttons on the keyboard. A hatch connected to the central compartment is wide open. The lieutenant says nothing. You see the machine's glowing frame reflected back from his diamond-shaped glasses. You're free to proceed. Behind the hatch sits a cube-like crisscross of filaments, smoldering in the dark like fireflies. Silver tape on the side says, in black marker, log, February to March. Another filament memory. Press play to talk with the repeater. The speaker comes to life. Static seeps through the machine's planar magnetic driver. An old lady greets you. her voice sounds 100 years old.
Good evening. Votre accident on Saint-Brun. This is the East Insulindian Repeater Station 1. Please repeat. Is this the personal log?
It's the same old woman you spoke with through the radio computer in the doomed commercial area.
Good. Please repeat the password.
Let's look around. There's no use trying to guess the answer. Maybe he knows something.
Received. I will register this login attempt. Votre accident. Is there anything else I can do for you today? Sleep well, votre accident.
The machine's keyboard is still illuminated, revealing fluorescent play and print buttons.
Oh, hey, wait. There's coffee in the back. Oh, wait. I meant the mother's love. Too many times, essay, you need it for something. Don't sweat it, vato. The password is afterlife death.
That is true. But what comes after death?
What you think of that? Makes me almost pity la niñita pequeña when I hear it. I think we're done here, essay.
That was an interesting conversation. However, I'm still not sure how it's relevant to our investigation.
The machine's keyboard is still illuminated. The speaker comes to life.
Good evening. Votre accident on Saint-Brun. This is the East Insulindian Repeater Station. Good, thank you. Please repeat. Is this the personal log? I have two machines registered to this company name in Martinez. One on Saint-Brun, the other on Rue de Saint-Ghislaine.
Saint-Brun, that's the church. And Rue de Saint-Ghislaine? That's the doomed commercial area.
Anything else I can help you with? Good. Please repeat the password. Good. I have unlocked the filament. After ending the call, please press print to access the filament. Votre accident. Is there anything else I can do for you today? Sleep well, votre accident.
The machine's keyboard is still illuminated, revealing fluorescent play and print buttons. The printer prints out a long text document with dated paragraphs. It looks a bit like someone's journal. The first entry, made on the 4th of February, 51, by an unknown author, is short and concise. Arrived at the church, the door was boarded up, so I used the crowbar to get inside. Looks like the place has been deserted. Nothing out of the ordinary, but I'll ask around. Need to figure out how to get the electricity in. The lieutenant leans closer, scouring the printout over your shoulder. Just
4th of February. That's over a month ago. Whoever set up those machines has been here for quite a while. Our case? No, I don't think so. It must be some local eccentric.
6th of February, 51. Had a little chat with the local fishermen. Said I shouldn't go near that place, that the church was spooky and ridden with narcotics. It's a little spooky, all right. Still haven't figured out the electricity. 7th of February, 51. Finally got the electricity in. Next on the agenda, a new antenna. I'm thinking ESCA series, something advanced.
Why would anyone need any of this equipment here?
8th of February, 51. Bought the antenna, had some problems setting it up. Called Simor for help. Heard the others are back to making art. Drinking somewhere out of town. Sulislav started a rock band again. Lexi has been seen asking money from strangers. But at least the artists have their act together. They're qualified labor. They can get work anywhere. Graphic design, ads. The programmers are doing fine too. I mean, they're programmers. The writers, though, they're fucked. I just have to find out what caused that data loss and be done with it. Still don't understand how it managed to wipe out the backup, when the backup wasn't even connected to the front. I know. Everyone thinks it's impossible. They say I must be lying. I'm here to set it right.
Seems like something to do with radio computers. Unfortunately, I don't know enough about them to understand what the author is saying. Something about the backup data getting destroyed, and how everyone thought it was the author's fault. Let's just keep reading. I think these people worked in the radio computer games business, the one we saw in the Doom commercial area. They must be our former co-workers.
12th of February, 51. Brought some food from the grocery store. Apparently, there's a strike going on in the harbor. Definitely not happy to see the Martinez people again. Everything's now set up in the church. Going to start working tomorrow, 8 a.m.
The strike. We are nearing the date of the murder. Keep reading. I'm interested now. I want to know what's that radio anomaly that sent this person here in the first place.
25th of February, 51. I've been sending data up to Lintel for a while now, trying to recreate the data loss, but nothing. Didn't even feel like logging in, the disappointment. But I did discover a curious audio-spatial anomaly at the back of the church. I've named it the Swallow. It swallows sound. Need to get some mics.
Is she talking about?
28th of February, 51. Yes, the first recordings confirm that the swallow is real and I'm not just losing my mind. It's a pillar of silence with a diameter of approximately 3 meters. Seems like the higher I go, the less I record. This might be a coincidence, or it could be connected to the data loss that led me here.
The pillar of silence. She is talking about the silence. Is she suggesting it's more than just an architectural quirk?
The lieutenant doesn't answer. He follows your gaze, studying the basins. The water shines in them. No ripples. March 51. Some kind of young disco men have appeared next to the church. I've been trying to record the silence to find the epicenter, but now it turns out I've also been capturing the future of dance music, one neo-disco song over and over again. Fortunately, the song is so monotonous, I was able to devise an algorithm to factor it out. The other day, one of the disco men came in. Before I could even say hello, she got scared and left. Good, I don't want anyone distracting me from my work. That disco man must be a cell. March 51. I got a call from the repeater station. Someone has tried to access the radio computer in our old office in Martinez. Can't do anything about it. The storekeeper still doesn't want to let me inside the building. Thinks I'm part of some kind of curse. How Martinez of her.
I knew it wasn't a good idea to meddle with the machine.
No. It was a great idea. You're learning things. This is how you learn things about machines. March 51. A new 2-meter aux cable. Noodles, crackers, ping energy drinks, water, toothpaste, gum, also some canned air. Your reading is interrupted by the sound of the church door opening. A strange woman makes straight for the radio computer.
Breaking into my radio computer, I see.
Yes, you are breaking in, but not into her radio computer. You're a master circuit bender.
I do apologize for the intrusion, madame. We are with the RCM, you see.
You won't find any answers from here. It's just me and my computer, and it has been this way for weeks. Now please give me some room. I need 2 seconds to see that you haven't destroyed anything.
We should talk to her after she has rebooted the machine.
In white, silver, and apricot faience, the young mother of humanism stands above you. A crack runs across her body. She is impossibly tall, oval-faced and sad, a dark and radiant majesty. This is her innocence, Dolores Day. Cradled in her arms are a pair of glowing lungs, clearly visible from underneath her flowing dress. A cold wind seeps in from the crack in the glass. Snowdrifts cover the floorboards at your feet. Above, you feel her multicolored eyes on you, as if under a microscope. As that bitter thought passes through your head, the lieutenant draws an X-shaped cross from shoulder to shoulder with 3 fingers. Good call. She left us all in the shits. Don't give her a single thing. Just stand there in the apricot-colored light of the window, secretly grinding your teeth. The woman smiles her distant smile, unmoved, struck in half by the crack in the glass.
The old woman in the village was right. This must be the Delorean Church of Humanity in Martinez, or the small Pinewood Church in some records. It's a minor landmark, not easy to find. Most maps misplace it. It was built not long after Revachol's founding, 300 or so years ago, by first-generation settlers.
On the coast of an uninhabited archipelago where only animals had roamed before, in the wild reeds.
There used to be 7 stave churches on the coast. Les Sept Sœurs, they call them, the 7 sisters. Only one remains. The rest were burnt in the revolution or used for building materials. We should be respectful here, although the building appears to be deserted. I do not believe we'll find anything connected to the lynching here. Something else, perhaps?
A pang of guilt. The lieutenant is leaving something out. Cold air seeps in through the crack in the glass. The woman is keeping her colorful eye on both of you. of humanism stands above you, a precious thing, despite the damage you've done to yourself. The title appears lodged in your hippocampus. This is Her Innocence Dolores Day, the innocence of humanism, internationalism, and the welfare state. Perhaps no amount of Commodore Red can wipe her sad smile from your brain thing. It has survived the deluge and haunts you still, and will haunt you forever, as it haunts all men. The highest category of historic individual, an embodiment of the world spirit. More, an innocence is elected to office by the founding party, a precedent that has taken place a mere 6 times in the entirety of history. The legal system of the Real Belt is built to accommodate an authentic rule should it coincide with our time. An innocence is infallible. The decisions made by one are not decisions. They are inevitabilities. What would have happened anyway? Only accelerated, packed into decades instead of centuries. An innocence is a continuous, compressed event, a sacred human being. It is an honor and a glory to live when one is in office. No, we are alone. "300 years ago, in the wake of the discovery of this Isola, the Insulindian, by explorers from the continent of Muindi, she is, among other things, the innocence of inter-isolary travel and the connected world. Many things, you know she was a woman of the court, the wife of an influential Marchese, and eventually the principal advisor to Irene La Navigateur, Queen of Suresnes, modern-day Sir La Clé, also that she was gorgeous beyond beauty. Draped in ancient sadness, are you sure you want to remember this bit of historic trivia? Standing under a long, slender form like this, dwarfed?
Yes! Big bummer! Boring history! Gotta keep it light, man! Keep it moving! Get fucked up instead!
The past is a silo of sadness, fermenting. You should keep away.
Fuck this pain, Bratan! It's unhealthy!
Terribly, women of the court were expected to play both contract bridge and chess sufficiently well to prove an interesting challenge to a man. A simple grasp in matters of philosophy, theology, and science was encouraged. She was, by all means, a kept woman. She made the most of her position in the antediluvian court, a court visited by the most prominent thinkers and artists of the day. In secret, she was becoming the era's preeminent philosopher of the state, a scalpel, a piercing gaze. She was an almost preternaturally magnetic and intelligent individual. To her contemporaries, she appeared out of time, a messenger from the future of the species. We all fell in love with her, head over heels. Even before she was declared an innocence, her influence was tremendous. It was on her advice that Irene La Navigateur sponsored a number of voyages into the Pale, a costly, often tragic endeavor, ultimately vindicated by the discovery of the new world, the piece of reality you're standing on. She was crowned 2 years after the first expedition returned, setting in motion what is widely considered the greatest era in history, the DeLorean era. Wow, indeed. When her innocence was declared, and the queen she had advised for years fell on her knees before her, she was so overcome with emotion that her lungs started glowing in her chest. Bystanders reported golden filaments lighting the already sunlit chamber around her, clearly visible beneath her dress. As did we all. The lands of the Mesk and the Occident, and even faraway Supremawindi, altogether 21 of the 40 Mundial nations of the time, immediately accepted Innocentic rule, even before her crowning. In a city called Advesperaskit in Vesper Messina, her homeland, the name of the city means evening comes, but it happened on a winter's morning with the canals frozen and slush falling out of the sky. She was dressed in a white and pearl dress on an emptied-out plaza with the crowd far away. Already, her Theriers, the secret servicemen of the Innocents, were worried about an assassination attempt. Oh yes, she looked like humanity's young mother, a perfect mother, insultingly beautiful. It was as if her face and shoulders and hands were covered in a soft down of underfeathers. You know this well, very well. Midwinter snow was beating the cobblestones around her. A small attaché of officials stood by as her Theriers placed a white gold wreath on her head. The crowning was mostly witnessed by secret servicemen. One of the men in this secret service killed her 22 years later, a young man who had come to suspect that Dolores Day was not entirely human, but something else. Something that had walked in our midst, watching us stumble for hundreds, if not thousands of years, until it decided to interfere in the course of our history. We were supposed to come up with this ourselves, the man was reported to have screamed at the Innocents. Dolores Day was shot in the chest with a fowling piece 8 times. The man, thought to be insane, said he once touched her and her body had been unnaturally warm, like a furnace, and that sometimes, while on duty, he observed her forgetting to breathe for over 10 minutes. This inhuman quality was witnessed by many others as well, glowing lungs and all. It is commonly attributed to mass hysteria and religious psychology. Terrifying is a term too emotionally charged for your semantic memory, or what remains of it. But terrifying, it's a simple word. She was bad for humanity, and you shouldn't have started thinking about her. You already do. Although she is often considered to be the greatest human being to ever live, there was something ominous about Dolores Day, constantly surrounded by her Theriers. She was the most socially secluded and least self-aware of all the Innocences. Some modern thinkers would consider her a war criminal for the campaigns she waged against the Mesk state. And then there were the resettlement programs. The Mesk state tried to detach itself from Innocentic rule. Parts of the world were experiencing whiplash from accelerating into secularism. Her mandatory education programs and mass resettlement of upstream Marguerite were problematic as well. Dissenters were suppressed by a military force she called the Army of Humanity, suggesting those who fight against it are not part of humanity. She adored chess, yes, but also military war games. Dolores Day often holds a tiny tin soldier between her index finger and thumb in icons such as this. She was also blonde, the blondest woman you have ever seen, with green eyes the color of the Pacific, mare interregnum. Little is known of her Marchese husband. It's as if he vanished from history after completing his role, which was to introduce Dolores Day to court. In conclusion, yes, there is something lonely, paranoid, and even terrifying that...
Lieutenant Yefrater, you've stood there for over 5 minutes. What are you thinking of, if I may ask? She's been dead for 300 years. I am almost 1,000% certain she isn't connected to the case. None of this is, in fact. This church, the coast, this isn't a good place to get lost in.
of humanism stands above you. A jigsaw of broken shards falls into place in front of you. A ghostly reconstruction of the stained glass window. Before it was shattered, there was an older woman beneath the younger one, and a text, a light motif below them both. Unknown. A motor carriage, a gunshot, someone falling into it, or maybe just hooligans looking for something to break. The escutcheon on her throne says, Irene the Navigator. She is depicted as an older woman wearing thick-rimmed eyeglasses, holding a golden rights apfel in one hand and a scepter in the other. This is the queen her innocence day advised. Above, she herself is whole. Small figures of wise men, common men, worshippers walk up the stairs to stand at her feet. Secret servicemen, 30 years, stand in a row guarding her. It must have taken years to produce this work in all its dizzying detail. Below both women, in luminous black letters, Après la vie, mort. Après la mort, la vie de nouveau. And then, along the left side, Après le monde, la gré. Après le gré, le monde de nouveau. After life, death. After death, life again. After the world, the pale. After the pale, the world again. This is the great leitmotif of humanism, a summary of the effect of the discovery of this isola, the Insulindian, on human thinking. A tremendous sea change akin to finding life after death.
Death, life again. After the world, the pale. After the pale, the world again. This exaltation is common in Dolorian sacralism. In the early years, it was even incorporated as the RCM slogan. No more, however. It was deemed subservient to use a strongly moral intern-related motto. We already suspected of bootlicking. The sentence was also seen as too feminine. It was a macho thing. Justice, union, prudence, and force. Eyes cool.
The mother of humanism towers above you, a wax painting on a cracked pane of glass. Nothing has changed in her expression.